Hi you guys, this is your 2.4 day 1 solving equations with variables on both sides. So we've done this before, so hopefully it will start to come back to you. But all of your problems are going to look something like this, where on both sides of the equation you have a variable, so an x and an x. So it's your job for all of these equations to isolate the variable or get it by yourself. Guys, everything that's in red here means you have to fill that in. So as I talk through it, make sure you get that in your note packet. So we're going to get the variable all by itself on one side of the equation. So how you do that is, we're not going to have to do number 1 today, so go ahead and circle that. That's going to come tomorrow. But you must simplify each side by combining your like terms and distributing. So we're going to get more practice with that tomorrow. But you're going to eliminate the variable from the other side using opposite operations. So we're going to eliminate an x on this side by doing the opposite on this side, okay? And then you're going to solve, once you have it on one side, it's just like what we've been using. So it's really important to remember that you keep these equations balanced as you go. So let's just go ahead and jump into some examples so you know what the heck we're doing. So we have variable m on both sides. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get those variables on one side. Now, I always say that left is best, so go ahead and write that up here. Left is best, but it is completely up to you. It does not matter what side the variable goes to, but usually variables are on this side anyway, so that's where I like to bring them, just because I like to keep things simple. So if I need to eliminate this 4m on this side completely and bring it to this side, in order to completely get rid of it, I would have to subtract 4m on both sides. So I'm going to subtract 4m on this side, and I'm going to subtract 4m right underneath the other m. Sorry, it's hard to see. So these are gone. 4m minus 4m is nothing. So all I'm left with on this side is a 1. On this side, I have 13. And then a negative 2m minus 4m is going to give you a negative 6m. Sorry, it's so cramped. Okay, so that is done. I've simplified it. So now I have 13 minus 6m equals 1. Now it looks something like what we've been doing before, where the variable is just on this side. So now it's our job to get that completely alone. So here's where the process kind of starts over. So we need to get this alone. We're going to do the opposite to get it by itself. So we're going to get rid of this 13 minus 13 on both sides. So we're left with negative 6m is equal to a negative 12. Now we're left to have one more step to do to get that m by itself. The opposite of multiplying by a negative 6 would be to divide by a negative 6. So I'm going to write it over here since I ran out of room because I'm so messy. M is going to equal a positive 2. Alright? So lots of steps. 1, get it by itself on one side. 2, you're trying to get it by itself when it's on this side. And then you're finally left with just a plain old one-step equation at the end. So let's look at this one. It looks a tad different, and it's actually a little bit easier. So we're going to separate our sides just like before. Looks like we have an x on both sides this time. So the first step is going to be to get these x's to one side. Now, my rule up here doesn't work for this one, and let's think about that. If I take this to this side, if I get rid of this on this side, that means there's nothing left on this side, and that does not work. You can't have nothing on this side. You got to keep it balanced. So this is an exception to my rule, left is best, because you actually have to bring it to the right. That way you'll have something on each side. So let me show you. So if you have something like this, we got to get rid of that x by doing the opposite. So we're going to subtract x on this side. So we're left with 10 equals, so 3x minus a 1x would give you a 2x. So this kind of eliminates some steps from like that first one we did, because now we're just left with a one-step equation. So we got to get x by itself. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So we have x is equal to 5. So a little bit simpler, but it's an exception to a rule. So put a star by this one because it doesn't match my left is best. right, let's look at this one. Looks like we have m's on both sides. This one, I always ask myself, the left is best will work, because if I bring this negative 3m over here, I'm still left with a 5, so everything's good. So to eliminate this negative 3m on this side, I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to add 3m on both sides. So this is gone. So I have 10m is equal to 5. One last step to do. Do the opposite still. Divide by 10. Now don't be rushing things and think that this is equal to 2. This is 5 divided by 10, not 10 divided by 5. So it's a fraction you got to simplify. So do it in your calculator or do it in your head, but m is going to equal 1/2. All right. Last one. I'm going to go through this one quickly. If you want, you can pause me and just make sure you get the right answer. Left is best. I'm going to get these x's on one side. Do the opposite. Minus 3x. So I'm left with 6x plus 11 equals -1. Make sure you keep those symbols in there, those operations. So I'm going to do the opposite. Subtract 11. 6x equals a -12. Keep doing that opposite. Divide now. Divide by 6. So x is equal to -2. Alright guys, we're going to do a ton of practice on this, but if you could, make sure that you fill out that question down below on this form. You will get 10 raffle tickets tomorrow if you complete this form correctly. So try your best. Thanks for watching the video, and we will practice.